Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Deep Diving Divas, where we believe it's never too late to dive in. I'm Nancy Fox.
And I'm Elaine Doran. We're talking about real-life creativity. You know, the kind that brings joy and energy and meaning into your everyday life. Which is why today's episode is called, It is Never Too Late to Find Your Words and Then Write Them Down.
We're actually interviewing two guests today, and one you know really well.
That would be me.
Our Elaine, and the other is Mary Petersen. Now, Mary Petersen is a university English professor, which included teaching at Loyola Marymount University. She's a two-time cancer survivor, and she found that journaling, poetry, and self-reflection really helped her.
She believes that keeping a journal clarifies her thoughts. It sorts out her emotions and documents it all. She'll share how this has profoundly transformed experiences in her life.
I'm particularly excited, I don't know about you, to hear Elaine talk about her love of writing and what it means to her. Okay, ready, everyone?
Let's get ready.
Hey there, friends, it's Nancy and Elaine. They're the Deep Diving Divas, it's quite a name. They're diving deep into the things that matter most, from friendships to family and so much more. Join them each week for a splash of fun.
Welcome to Deep Diving Divas, Mary. So nice to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. My pleasure.
Mary, it's so wonderful to see you because, well, let's see. How long have we been friends? I think it's got to be at least 30 years.
Probably 35.
35. Okay, I know because you taught with my husband, Richard, for so many years at Chatsworth High School. And your husband and your family, we've watched you have a family, watch it grow, grow, grow. Now it's really growing. And traveled so many places. We've had great times on bike rides with our husbands. So it's a long relationship filled with lots of love. And I'm thrilled to have you here. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, Mary, we have a lot to get to, so let's just dive in. Mary, what does it feel like to be so passionate about the art of writing?
Well, I think I'm so passionate about it because it has been so redemptive for me. Throughout my life, I kept journals, and they started out as just simple diaries, but as I progressed into young adulthood and to later adulthood, the writing became my tool to manage emotions, to sort through thoughts, to deal with difficulties and challenges, to celebrate joys. And so it's been a lifelong companion for me. And I think that's why the intimacy I have with writing is why I'm so passionate about it.
I love that you said it's been a companion for you. I mean, you have taught, well, you are a professor, an English professor, both in colleges and universities, and particularly Loyola Marymount and some other wonderful places here in Southern California. You've taught creative writing for so many years in high school and to young people, to old people, to everyone, older aging people, I should say. How do you get these people, how do you motivate them to write? These people that you've been teaching?
I think that one of the important things is to allow students or encourage students to be able to write, as Anne Lamott says, shitty first drafts. Don't judge yourself. Don't criticize yourself. Let everything flow. Don't put don't dam up the floodgates. Let them flow, and just keep going with it. Just keep writing, even if it feels like you're writing junk. Keep going, because eventually there will be a diamond in the dust heap. If you would like to take that further, you can, parse out those really important gems and then turn them into poems or stories. But the main thing is to just let the flow come. And the other way that I think is helpful for any group that is writing is to create the safe space. People need to feel that they can trust, or that they can write without being judged. If we can provide a space that's supportive and encouraging, like the group that I've been involved in, that really allows people to just express and let things flow and be honest. And I've always told students too, and others in workshops, that you don't have to do anything with this writing. The fact that you put it down, thoughts and emotions down on paper, is enough. That process is purging, and it's cathartic. And if you want to throw it away or burn it, you can do that. Nobody has to see it. And I think that liberates people too. If they don't feel like they're writing something for an audience, that they're just writing it for their own self-process, I think that helps too.
Mary, let me ask you, because you were working with students. I don't know if you work with contemporary people more in our age groups, but I would think that the older you get, I'm only speaking for myself, I don't care so much what people think are being judged. When you're young, you care so much. So it is a little crippling, and it sounds like you made a safe, place for your students. But what about people in our age group? Are they more open?
I'm working currently with older cancer survivors, and people feel vulnerable. They feel vulnerable sharing emotions that maybe maybe they feel are not socially acceptable. I'm bitter, or I'm angry, or I'm lost, I'm depressed. Those kinds of emotions are hard to get out in a group setting. And so that's why we want to provide that kind of safe space for people to share what they're going through as they're facing these challenges. And people are definitely vulnerable. Older adults are vulnerable about aging and mortality. So I don't think it ever really goes away. It takes different forms.
It's really a form of therapy. I mean, as I'll talk about later in the show, I mean, I've been taking a writing class, writing about moments, and it is very cathartic. And for many of us, it is so nourishing to our souls. But you also are sharing things, but also sharing it with yourself. It isn't even that, even if you don't have an audience, sometimes you don't want to see it on the paper, because then it becomes true. Then it's alive. And then the words are down there. And if no one else ever sees it again, you said it, and it's hurtful and it's painful, and it's a lot of those things. So, I imagine that's something that you have to work with.
It's growth and transformation. Writing is transformative. One of the poems I wrote in the book is called Ode to the Redemption of Writing, and that is one thing that the group that I'm working with now has said to me, that this group has transformed me, because we are we are encouraged to express ourselves, and we know that no one judges us. We know that we have support and encouragement, and that has just made such a difference in the lives of all of us who are in the group.
So in the group, you have, I think it was a compilation of people's work, The Awe of Becoming. Tell us a little bit about how this book came about.
Well, for 3 years, I've been volunteering with an organization called Circle of Hope, and who asked me to, volunteer for a creative writing circle. And so twice a month we meet, and of course, over 3 years, we've compiled many, many poems. I usually bring in a poem, and then we discuss it, and then everybody writes. And so many times, group members would say to one another, wow, that is so vivid. That is so descriptive. You have explained the process of what's going on with you so vividly. I know somebody who's going through cancer treatment right now would value from that. Or you have really transformed, and I think that somebody who read what you wrote would be comforted by what you said. And that came up for nearly a year. And finally we said last year, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to compile our writing. And we envisioned that we would put it in doctors' offices and mammogram centers, and that the Circle of Hope organization would put one of these books into the comfort bags that they give new clients. And so that's how it was born. And it was certainly a labor of love, because none of us knew anything about publishing, even the self-publishing, editing. I knew something about editing as an instructor, but they all submitted the poems they wanted to, 10 poems or 8. And then we found donations. We asked for contributions to support the publication of the book. And so little by little, it came together. And we had one of our cancer survivors is an artist. She provided the artwork for the book. And it's just been such an amazing experience to have this come to fruition.
Mary, the book sounds incredible. For people that want to buy it, how can they buy it?
Well, it's not on Amazon. It's through the Circle of Hope, and the website is Circle of Hope Inc. .org.
Let me ask you, with this project that you've done and all the other teaching you've done, and we've talked about this before, but what's more important? Is it the process or is it the product? And that is a wide open question for so many things, anything having to do with creativity.
Well, it depends on your goal. If you want to write the great American novel, then the product is really important to you. But for most of us, the process is what's important. We're looking for self-knowledge. We're looking for peace of mind. We're looking for tools to help us manage life. And so the process of writing does that in a very effective way. If we take time to write down, today I'm struggling a little, or today my energy is a little low, and and you can just kind of monitor your life each day through writing. And so I think that the process is what many of us would benefit from.
So with that in mind, that brings up a point for someone like me who's never journaled. I mean, for years on my website, Skinny Kitchen, I have to write all the descriptions to the recipe. I have to think of the 8,500 different ways to make it sound mouth-watering and delicious. But that's a different form of writing. So for someone like me, it almost sounds like you said you just start putting down your thoughts. Is that the best way to start?
It is, and it's just you're going through uncharted territory. You oftentimes when I start writing, I'm confused and I can't figure out what I'm feeling, and so I just start, kind of walking through the weeds and writing down. Maybe it's this. I wonder if I'm concerned about that, or I haven't felt this way before, and so we just start to just put one step in front of the other, and being compassionate with yourself and listening and not judging. And in the end, I think that it does provide some sort of catharsis.
So let me just ask you, let's pretend we're two of your students in one of your groups that you've taught. I mean, and we've never written before, and this is the first day of class. What would you have us do? I mean, like, is there just like, imagine if you gave us a prompt, or what would you say, or how would you get us to just put that pen to paper? Well, I'm getting you right on the spot.
One of the first things I have done in composition courses is to give them Anne Lamont's essay. And they're surprised. And when they read the title of Writing Shitty First Drafts, and that's where we go from that. And we talk about not having a watcher at the gates. That's another essay that I've used with students. Elaine Godwin, I think, wrote that. And she says the same thing. Don't let that watcher at the gates, that critic, thwart your writing. Move it out of the way, get the voices out of the way, and just be yourself and just be honest and write down. And, again, feeling safe that I can be honest and nobody has to see this. And that's how we start. Now that's a different kind of writing than writing an expository essay for a class, but that's a different story.
But probably more for our age group, and for those of us who are aging, as they call it now. We are the great agers. Mary, I remember when you were writing a column for the Signal in Santa Clarita. Can you tell us just quickly, at that point in your life, this was a new career and a change for you, what it was about?
Yes, after I retired from teaching, I was asked to write a column in the senior living section of the Signal Sunday magazine. It was called A Second Wind, and it was certainly a second wind for me because I had never published a product. It was always process writing, and so I was called upon to find a topic each month that would be meaningful to seniors. So it required observing life, talking to people, keeping up with current events, emotions of friends, experiences that I was going through, and finding something meaningful to say that I thought would resonate with other seniors. So it was a challenge. I did it for 6 years and really enjoyed it.
We're going to have to go, but before we do, in a few sentences, how has writing changed your life?
I think writing has changed my life in the way that I've come together with a community of people, and that kind of support has been so valuable to me and so transformative to me, to be with a circle of writers who encourage and support. That has been, transformative for me. And also the act itself, the process itself of writing has helped me to discover who I am, it has given me the tools to manage life in a way that's more fulfilling and joyful and I think effective.
That's a perfect way to end on. Mary, thank you so much. What a gift. And for anybody out there, grab your pen and paper, because it does sound like it's a really, cathartic thing to do.
Oh, absolutely.
Everybody stay tuned. Stay tuned, everybody, because we'll be back with our wonderful Elaine Doran. We talk a lot about on the show trying new things, staying curious, but writing has always been a huge part of your life, and for a long time. When did you first realize that writing was your creativity?
I think in the third grade when I started writing a diary. And I know, Nancy, I don't think you kept a diary. That's not your thing. But I did it even more than most of my friends. And I guess I realized I turned it into a little book. I used to put pictures in there of my boyfriends and talk about how my heart broke like an egg. I was being, very descriptive. And, but then I kind of didn't have time anymore for that. When I really started to find my voice for writing, and of course I was a teacher at one time and I taught English and I taught, history, but it was about the time that I was going through my divorce, with my first husband. And I needed to express how I was feeling and the conflicts in my life and the choices that I was making and doubting what I was doing. And I couldn't really share it with anybody. I mean, I really couldn't share it with my ex-husband. I couldn't share it with my parents and with friends. So I kept really a kind of interesting journal that included artwork. I started painting with watercolors, and I loved it because I did these very abstract pieces of art. Never knew that I even had that in me. And with each page that I did in watercolors, I would then write sometimes a poem and then sometimes written work. And it was so good. I couldn't wait to get to that. So that was really about the time that it started. And I guess, yes.
Elaine, did you keep it? It sounds like an incredible thing to look back on.
I have it, and it's been bound. Somebody bound it for me, and I always said one day I was going to turn it into a book. But it's very special and precious. And a lot of it had to do when I finally met Richard and my husband, my current wonderful husband for the last 50 years. So that's how that happened.
Well, Elena, you've also shared with me, you've mentioned that you don't write stories that have beginnings or even endings, but you write about moments. So yes. We want to know about that.
It's such an interesting thing. People always say when they're writing, they want to write a story or they want to write about their life, or I want to do a book. I want to do an autobiography, whatever. And it's like, you know what? That is overwhelming. It's like saying you're going to build a house, in one day and decorate it and everything you're going to do. You need to find a moment in your life that really had an impact, that stamped something on your brain that was very specific, and write about it. And the reason why I've thought about that more is because I've been part of an unbelievable writing group at the Wallace Performing Arts Center here in Beverly Hills. And my fabulous teacher, Deborah, who I hope maybe one day will be on the show, she believes that you take a moment and that's what you write about. And you can write as many words as you want. I've written sometimes 1,000 words, but you have to edit it down to 300 words. So you have to get rid of all the fluff and really describe something that happened to you. You could have been stepping off a bus when you were in college and something happened at that very moment, or the first time that you ever went on an airplane, or you were involved in a car accident. What did you think at that moment? I mean, it can be anything that happened that you feel impacted your life, but we work with prompts. So that's usually it's something that's coming from a poem or, some musical piece or some just really phrase, and whatever it makes you feel, even if it's not about that at all. It's like someone pushing behind you, write about this, and it gets you going.
Incredible. Well, then did you notice a difference in how you feel when you're, actively writing, I should say, versus when you're not?
Yes. I mean, I miss it so much when the class is not in session, and many of us students in the class, we realize we're bad because we only are writing when we're taking the class, because sometimes you really, it's not journaling, and we should be writing all the time. It should be a part of your daily. But I always look forward to the prompt that I'm going to be getting that week. And then you think about it, and sometimes you can think about it for a whole week and it doesn't come out. It's kind of fermenting in your body. I can't explain it, but it's in there. It's moving around, and you're working on it. Even though you're not putting it on paper, you are working on that piece in your head. And people think sometimes, I haven't written it yet. Yes, you have. You just didn't write it down. So yes. So it's been an amazing experience.
So then many people tell us they want to write, but they don't feel confident or they think it's too late for them. So we talked to Mary a little bit about what she says, but I'm really curious, what's your take? What's your suggestion or your helpful tools that will help me or all of us out there if they want to start writing down their moments?
What has helped me the most, and I'd say in the last couple of years, and of course with the phone in our life, our iPhone, which has a great, opportunity to record what we're saying. You can press record. If you don't know how to do it, you can look it up and see what you do. But when I'm taking a walk, or even if I'm at home, but I like to do it when I'm walking, I think if you sit down to the computer and you try to write, and you're just sitting there like, this is ridiculous. I can't just write, So, but I like to talk a lot. So I think, okay, you know who I'm going to talk to? Me. I take that phone, and when I'm walking, and I'm careful because I wear my headset, I will tell a story or a moment. I will, if I'm talking about a moment, I will talk it out as if I'm actually talking to somebody next to me and telling them what happened. And it becomes more of a conversation then, and it's a lot freer. I don't feel any pressure about it being a beginning or an end. And sometimes I can write a whole piece in one of my walks. And then I come home and I take my phone and I email what I've written down in my notes section and send it to myself. And sometimes there's 1,000 words there, and then I edit. But I think that people could do that. They can just record, because some people are afraid to write because they can't write fast enough. They're not good on the computer, or they don't know how to get started. So talk to yourself. Tell yourself the story that you're thinking of, and it will flow from your body.
That is such a great tip, Elaine. All right, so we're going to run out of time, but before we go,
yes,
listen, everybody would love to hear one of your beautiful writings from your class. So let's go to one of your favorites.
Thank you.
I am so excited to be able to share with you a story that I wrote in my creative writing class at the Wallace Annenberg in Beverly Hills, California. And it's titled The Blue Blanket. Her hat looked fine. Her stockings were straight. Sarah made sure the blue blanket was safely wrapped. As the train screeched and moaned, pulling into the station, she heard the conductor shout, "Next stop, Muscatine, Iowa." This was the small farm where she was told to get off. Sarah carefully held the blue blanket very, very close and made her way to the train exit. Hands sporadically shaking, mouth dry, she licked her lips to calm her fears. Her husband, Ben, was waiting to greet her and their new baby. He sent for Sarah as soon as he wrote and found out that she was pregnant. This is when she decided she had to come to America. She kissed her parents goodbye, hoping she'd made the right decision to leave Kiev in 1887. Will he be able to tell when he looks at me? Will he know my tortured secret? He will know when he sees my frail body. Ben spotted her. Sarah approached and appeared to be in slow motion with each step closer to him. He picked up his pace and went first to grab his new son wrapped in the blue blanket. Ben, please, Ben, stop. There's something that I have to tell you. I lost our baby at birth 2 months ago. I couldn't tell you in my letter. I knew if I told you the truth, you wouldn't send for me. He slowly unwrapped the blue blanket. Ben could hardly see through his tears. Sarah had wrapped a doll in a bundle. She thought if he saw her coming off the train, not holding a baby, he wouldn't take her home. Ben, it would be so easy for you to find a new wife in America, and she could give you a child. I would only be a burden for you if I lived here. He started to turn away. Sarah was weeping. He couldn't leave her standing there, and he had no money to send her home. Ben stepped closer to his young wife. Gently, he placed a kiss on her wet cheek, and he whispered, "Welcome, my Sarah. We will start a family here in America." Well, this is a happy story because it is real. Sarah and Ben went on to have 9 children, and one of those 9 was my grandfather, Grandpa Ori. Great-grandfather Ben worked hard for his family. He opened the first furniture store, then hardware store, a movie theater, all on Main Street in the small farm town of Muscatine, Iowa. My grandfather told us this story often. Grandpa Ori, he would say how great it is that our great-grandfather was smart enough and wise enough not to send his wife Sarah back to Kiev. Grandpa Ori said, "There's a crack. There's a crack in everything. But that's how the light gets in."